Hi, it's me, Alanna. I'm doing this video to discuss some really uncomfortable topics that I know most of the people in my life and around the world don't really notice or care about, or it's not that they don't care, it's just that it's too overwhelming to go through all the little details and figure out how to fix it and how to stop it. This is a topic that I've been studying and researching for over, I would say, 8 years, maybe 9 years now. And I find it very interesting and intriguing, and not because I think it's entirely bad, because I also think that certain things happen over time when corrupt people are in power for as long as they've been in power. And corruption has always been, and might continue to be. However, in this matrix that we live in, there are certain things that have been instilled and downloaded into the consciousness of all people, and how it has affected everybody. It comes through the television, it comes through the radio, it comes through movies, it comes through people channeling information depending on what they're praying to and what they're into. So I want to stay on topic as best as I can, so that way I don't seem like I'm giving too much information to you at once, or if I am saying things that are out of the language barriers of what you're used to hearing. So some of my information will come from energetic synthesis, some will come from ascensionglossary.com, some from just multiple sources I've researched over the last 8 or 9 years. And I say or 9 because I feel like it's moving into there. There are a lot of connections between Freemasonry and Disney, Walt Disney and Alister Crowley, Anton LaVey, L. Ron Hubbard, and many other occult leaders that were, that were running rampant back in anywhere from the early 1900s till today. So even sooner than that. And a lot of it comes from the Nazi parties that came out here after World War II, and the Holocaust, all that stuff that happened in Germany and around the world. And so they all migrated here, and even coming from British, English, are breaking away from them. The bad ones also came here. United States of America is a corporation, and I just share this not really to stop what they're doing. I can't stop what they're doing, and I'm still affected by what's going on. But all I can do is talk about it, because it has shaped me so greatly, and it affects my life so much that I like to talk about it. And I just noticed more people coming out with videos and talking about it online, and I don't know why exactly they're letting us make these videos and share this information so much. I feel like we're just kind of at the end of the ropes, and it's unraveling, and it's all coming down, and we're at the peak of our creative forces, like how we're creating movies, and like we're able to do anything now from the technology that we have available in making videos and being creative. So their concern is not really to stop us from sharing. I think they get more pleasure in watching people discuss it. They probably laugh about it at their little meetings and stuff. And so I know that this might call some weird attention to me, but that's the price I'm willing to take, because sorry for saying so much too, but it's a lot, it's a lot to get out, and it's a lot to share and come forward and say that I know this information and I know what's going on, and how it affects our children, and how it affects our spirit and our soul as a whole. And it's very empowering to take back the power of your mind through this information and understanding. So let me think for a moment just how I want to begin to get into this information to help you understand, okay? So along my journey, I started learning about Disney. It started when I was about 18, 19, when I started having these feelings that I wasn't entirely in control of my behavior. I felt like there was something controlling me. I felt like I would notice I started noticing when I would go in and out of a trance state, especially when I was upset or in trauma, and all it would take is a song to come on that was a little more promiscuous or a little more sexy that made me get into this kitty cat, like, I want to go out there and, like, just go have fun, and, like, I don't care about anything. And yeah, I've tried drugs and I've done things in those states of mind, and when I look back, I almost want to be like, why? What was I thinking? But I know that behavior is sometimes an unconscious thing, and not sometimes, it clearly is an unconscious state in some ways. We have our subconscious, our conscious, and our superconscious, and we have these different levels of our mind that can store information in compartments of memory, right? So as I was doing this, as I grew up, I started researching and learning about conspiracy theories and what they call conspiracy theories that are really not really conspiracies. They're actually, or not theories, they are conspiracies in actual fact. I would say, like, from my understanding of the world and my level of consciousness, I would say about 85% of the conspiracy theories that I've read turn out to be true because they're connected to one or another one that I read later in the future or in books that I read. And so I respect people's work, and I respect that they do the research as well to put it out there, and so I believe that there must be some truth in what they're sharing. So going back to when I felt these feelings, I started researching, and I had an epiphany about Disney and just how all of the movies have such weird, they have weird similarities. There's usually, like, an evil woman involved that is trying to ruin the life of a younger, more prettier woman. And there's always maybe a mother missing. The character is usually like an Ariel. She's very provocative, although she is under the sea. And I love the movie. I love the creativity. I love the music. I can't say that I don't, and I don't love singing it. I grew up with it, so it's embedded in my consciousness. Excuse me. It's embedded in my consciousness. So I do have some love for Disney. I do have the same feelings of joy when I watch them as anybody else does after even knowing this information. So I won't say that the people who made the movies are bad, but they do conjure up some type of energies that are related to a darker force, okay? So back to Ariel, she's a little provocative, and she gives her voice away to a demonic creature under the sea. She gives her voice away to be with a man that she knows nothing of. She disobeys her father to be with a man she knows nothing about. Now, you might think that's just a movie, right? But these are all archetypes of the divine feminine, of the goddess, of the Holy Mother Sophia, of Pachamama, of Mother Earth, Gaia Sophia, okay? So each princess that we have watched carries the energy, like Snow White has the energy of, she sings, and she's got the animal natures, and she's very connected to nature, and the dwarves are like, they all represent different things, right? And then we have the evil queen in that one, and she eats the apple, which is the knowledge, and I don't know, I just feel like it just really, why did they teach us that the Garden of Eden, that the fruit was the apple, and then they have Disney making the movie of the apple? And you also go back to Sleeping Beauty. They need to all be woken up with some kiss by Prince Charming that doesn't really exist. And it causes the girls to be unrealistic in their expectations in love. It teaches them to disobey their parents. Not to mention, I definitely learned how to disobey my parents. And, and I feel like Disney kind of helped me with that need to be free, and I do honor the freedom of a young child, especially like after they're 15 or older. Like, a child already knows a lot about the world, and we should give them the credit for that. However, anything younger than 10 years old, they're highly programmable. Humans are hyper-suggestible and controllable from the ages of 0 to 8. You can inject them with anything you like them to do, and they will be your puppet. There's even a book written called how to make a undetectable mind control slave. I forget exactly how it's worded, but I've read parts of it, and there's symptoms you can look for, and you can see that it's all part of the Monarch MK Ultra mind control play. And so ultimately, going back to Disney and how I have made the connection and many others have made the connection that all of these men were in a ring. They were rings, and they were all friends together in this ring, right? So we have Alister Crowley, who I will read some from a website called ascensionglossary.com. And I chose this website to explain who Alister Crowley is and just how powerful he has affected the planet everywhere, on all continents almost. This is where Anton LaVey, the man who wrote there's so much stuff to get out. I love it because I'm a container of information, and I just need to talk to people about it. So, but Alister Crowley, Anton LaVey, he wrote the Book of Satanism. Alister Crowley wrote Moonchild. He taught people how to create ritualistic satanic abuse programs within the families to split the children and their personalities to cause soul fragmentation. So I'm going to read from this website that I chose because it is the highly effective website that you will find all of your Ascension glossary needs, okay? I have their permission to use this information as I emailed and asked, and so long as I quote who they are, I get to use it, okay? So, Alister Crowley, reference from historical timeline trigger events. He's a black magician. He was in charge of the black magic grids and mainstream Satanism. The NAA, which is the negative alien agenda, and when we say negative alien, there are different species that have had wars over this planet and over humankind for centuries. And it's still going on. We've had sky wars, we've had wars in different constellations, and this Earth is just but one physical manifestation, if not the only physical manifestation of our beingness on this planet. So he was an abductee and cooperates with the Zeta infiltration of Earth grid networks. And some of these words I know that you might have questions on. So he was in charge of setting up the black magic, blood sacrifice, and portals that become human energy harvesting networks. Enochian and Thoth, Anunnaki, the Lemma language as it is, okay? So people know what the Book of Enoch is, that we know that has a lot to do with the Book of Magic, because we are magical creatures and beings that have the ability to manifest and create all kinds of beautiful things, and actually very ugly things as well, because when we don't know we are that powerful, we create chaos. So over the centuries or the last few hundred years, we've definitely lost touch of our magic, and I believe it is being sold back to us, just like the movie and show Once Upon a Time, where all the creatures are fairy tale creatures and they forget who they are. It's very much like that, only the stories are about higher levels, not really the basic people. But we have been playing out roles on this planet for so long that's why we do feel magic. That's why some people are drawn to mermaids and fairies and gnomes and all these different things, because we are that magical. And I've experienced it, I've seen it under different influences. Okay, so according to the remote session Intelligence Collected and the Guardian Mentorship, Alister Crowley is a key figure in cooperating with the NAA, starting from great alien contact made in Cairo, Egypt, in April 1904. They scribed and implanted him with a book of the law, which is essential sacred text of the Lemma. And might I add you, from my research, the Lemma is mostly men in this group, and they actually are known for women hating and bashing, which would be explained why they worship and abuse the sexual feminine energy and the goddess, but yet they teach, we were taught that it was all patriarchal and male. And so the Lemma is known for causing most of the transgender and turning men into women kind of agenda, which I can also share more information on just exactly what that means. So the Book of the Law was a sacred text of the Lemma written down from dictation mostly by Alister Crowley, although his wife, Rose Edith Crowley, and the entities themselves are known to have entered written phases into the manuscript of the book after dictation. Now, entities are a whole different conversation. Mostly everybody has entities attached to them if they don't do the work, if they've been in trauma, if they've ever had surgeries, if they've ever had taken pills, done drugs. I know I have had them. I can tell when I'm affected by one of them. They can live in different parts of your body depending on what your spirit and your soul is being attached to, and depending on what you're into. You'd be surprised just by speaking certain words, you call for things. Our words are magic, abracadabra, open sesame. These are all codes. And to us, we just think, oh, Mishka, Mushka, Mickey Mouse. We're just, we're just taking it in as art. However, those are actual wizard words, okay? People use them when they're invoking different things, and when abracadabra means I create what I speak. So it all connects together, if you see where I'm going with this. So this contact began a lifelong series of interactions and collaborations with the NAA to bring into physical manifestation satanic forces of the Black Sun program under the guise of representing themselves as holy guardians of angels. They collaborated with Crowley, sent him into various key locations of the Earth's power vortexes and to open up closed portals and assist in their patriarchal dominion, hijack of power grids of the Earth. This allowed the NAA another form of entry into the Earth through black magic grids. Though the consent and cooperation of the human body, namely Crowley himself, is a little understood today, Alister Crowley was a negative, extraterrestrial contactee and abductee. And this term, we refer to these power grids as the Thoth grids and Phoenix grids, as well as black magic grids. And that Crowley is the alien contactee that served the Armageddon software, timelines, and manipulated to enforce the black magic archetype for satanic forces to increase the satanic ritual abuse on Earth. Now, here's where I want to take a little break, because there's some things, there's a lot of words in here that, like Armageddon software. So if you look at everything like a computer program, and the humans are like a computer program, and you have the belief that chemtrails spray into the air in certain gridlocks, and then we breathe in that air. So we can be given software updates in our consciousness, and if you're not clean and your mind is not clear, you miss the fact that that's coming through, and your personality gets altered depending on what you're able to receive. Because we are transmitters and receivers of information, which is light. Information is light, and when you don't have light or information, you're in the dark and you're in the shadows. And so these people work with the shadow. They feed off of the light they feed off of, I would say, the light of humans, of the innocence of children, and the innocence, the childlike nature, our ability to choose, our ability to be like God, to be like the divine, because they don't like that, and they fell from grace. They fell from their higher consciousness, and so they're meddling in the lower earth realms, in the underworld, and so in the different dimensions. I would say like the second dimension is like a lot more dense, it's a lot, the third dimension is very dense, but if you go higher in the realms where you also exist on, there's different levels of this. Well, I'm going to stop there because I feel like I'm getting a little off topic on the levels, okay? So it's important to understand that Crowley's archetype is a massive negative ego. So the negative ego has to do with lust, it has to do with jealousy, it has to do with envy, murder. Like those are lower lower thoughts that these demonic forces feed off of and use us humans to do their work. Okay, so, and sexual misery programming, which was exploited in his previous incarnation as a Solar Templar and Lord in Atlantis. So this sexual misery programming is something extremely, extremely, extremely important to understand when it comes to how Disney is part of this problem, and how they've all implemented things that were to live on for a long time. And so sexual misery has to do with the satanic ritual abuse and the soul splitting and the fragmentation and the beta sex kitten monarch mind control programming that have come as a product of this type of thinking that was introduced by Crowley and all these men in those times. So, like I said, L. Ron Hubbard is the creator of Scientology. If you look in the music and entertainment industry, you will find the Baphomet, you will find all the demonic forces in there, their symbols that they use. I mean, it's all part of this program that was just over time brotherhood. So they say that they all have to basically show in symbols that they are part of the same group. or they can't really get in there. And so the children in the industry are affected by this. All the kids in Disney come on with some type of messed up behavior or addiction programs, from addiction to webbing, and the sexual misery programs, because they open them up really early. So it's like taking a rose that's just tiny, like a little bloom, and opening it, forcing it open. It doesn't form the same way. It might be like these people in the industry might be extremely beautiful and they look flawless. It's because they have money and they have the ability to play with the elements, and they learn magic at an early age and how to manifest what they want, versus the rest of the world who don't know how to do that. They don't have a concept of money. They don't have a concept of, they're in poverty, or they're just, even for me, like, I know that me going against this kind of like repels my ability to manifest and create in a way. So I've learned to take back my sexual energy, my energy that I know that's meant to create, and so I can do that. Otherwise, if you don't do that and you're affected by these programs, then you have a really hard time getting out of it. And for the most part, normal people, middle class and under, they don't even care about us. We're like experiments. And the higher ups that are more blemish-free and beautiful, they get to be used for the higher operations that have to be involved with, celebrity things, raising money for things, or government programs, or things like that. High-end prostitutes, that kind of stuff, So his negative ego, misery, and sexual misery programming was exploited from his earlier, previous incarnations as a solar Templar and Lord in Atlantis. He was given the path to learn the tunnels of Typhon, which is the reverse Sephiroth path, or the black tree of life, called the Qliphoth. So forgive me because I don't know how to pronounce those words, but the Sephiroth is the original tree of life, where it has the 22 paths, and when you're going up, it is said to be good, but when you're going down, it's said to be not so good. It creates the shadow body, and it creates more karma for yourself. It gets you stuck in the dense world of the demonic forces who control the satanic kingdom here on Earth, when you're in the third dimension and not higher, because you can be in different dimensions here on the same planet. Like you can resonate and vibrate at the higher fifth dimension and be in the Holy Spirit energy, or you can be in third dimension reality where you're indulging in the lower realms of your physicalness, which means like getting involved in drugs and things like that, because those entities can attach themselves to you when you're lower vibration, and that's why people miss each other, because they're on different discs, they're on different vibrations. So this black tree of life, called the Qliphoth, the NAA was interested to control the Middle East completely and use the area of the original NAA invasion to manipulate Crowley into becoming their poster boy for activating their replicated creation code, the Baphomet, and its feed lines into the many layers of parasitic imposter spirit. According to the Guardians, Alister Crowley grew to be more deviant in his later years as he got increasingly desperate as a child murderer who experimented with SRA rituals. Therefore, he sodomized and sacrificed children and animals in his quest for immortality and gaining power over others. So, there's also a reference of Hitler and the occult working with Crowley. There's also, we know the Baphomet is what all celebrities worship in the industry. It is the goat that has the thing like this and the upside down inverted pentagram. And these all are demonic energies that are conjured up during rituals that they even produce on major stages that people watch all the time. So, I just need 1 second. need a moment because I was supposed to text somebody back. Okay. So, thanks for waiting. Okay. I think I'll stop this video because I already took a break and now I'm kind of off topic, but I will continue back with the correlation of all these characters and how they play out in our world and life today, and how you can notice these to make changes in your life so that we can protect yourself and your children from your mind. Because if you don't own your mind, who does?